All praise to the Most High. Shalom, Israel. Oh, my thing all the way up. All praise to the Most High, Israel. We back at it again, another segment of Sound Doctrine. We about to be going through the marriage series. You could never do this. You could never do this enough times, and the reason is because this is something that's never going to end in Israel. Brothers and sisters want to get married. Brothers and sisters want to start families, but brothers and sisters don't know how to do it right. Because on a technicality, there is no courting process. You can just, if you want to just lay down, it is what it is. On a technicality, once we lay down, you my wife. I don't really have to go through no process of getting to know you or none of that. But it's foolish because you set yourself up for failure. And then what happens is people will be together and they'll go through their honeymoon phase, 30 to 60 day, 90-day probationary period. And then all of a sudden, they start to see the ugly side. And they didn't realize that ugly side was that ugly. And now they're unhappily married. Then we got wicked divorces, unrighteous divorces. Then we got abuse situations going on. Then we got people falling out of the truth just so they can get away from these situations. That's a problem. So it's very important that you understand marriage and understand how weighty marriage is and understand how important the process of from understanding yourself to courting someone else and understanding that other person to actually becoming married. You got to understand the severity of that process. A lot of people, we talked about it yesterday, a lot of people will put such weight on the knowledge, prophecies, history, all of that. They don't put weight on the basics. Crazy part is, marriage is basic, is the basics. Why? Because it's foundational to everything else. As a man, how should I be in my marriage? As a woman, how should I be in my marriage? As parents, how should we be to our children as married individuals? That is like Israelite 101 because majority of us want families. That's basic, but a lot of us don't understand the basics. That's bad. That's terrible. So you could never have enough marriage classes. These classes are so pertinent. People don't even understand how pertinent it is to their salvation. Sounds like BS, but no. This is pertinent to your salvation because if you're not doing well as a husband, that counts against you. If you're not doing right as a wife, that counts against you. If y'all doing bad as parents and raising your children, that counts against you and your salvation. And that's something that a lot of us don't understand. When I sin against my husband, I sin against God. When I sin against my wife, I sin against myself. I sin against God. Nobody processes that. I pray to the Most High that this lesson is edifying. This is part 1 of, I believe, 4. This week we talking about, am I marriage material? Are you ready to be married? You want to be married. Theoretically, you understand as a wife or as a husband what you're supposed to do, but are you actually ready to put being a husband into practice, being a wife into practice? Are you ready for that? If we're being honest, a lot of people going to hear this lesson and realize, damn, I'm not. I thought I was, but I'm not. And some people are going to be delusional and think that they still are. I pray to the Most High that as we go through this lesson, we check our spirits and be honest with ourselves and make sure that we understand that everything is on God's time, not our time, because if we decide to move the way that we want to move, when we want to move, I guarantee you it's going to fail. Guarantee it's going to fail. Brothers and sisters online, if you haven't yet, make sure you share share the feed, share the class. I feel like this is one of the most important things, and a lot of people in Israel don't talk about this, and a lot of people in Israel don't understand this. I talk about it all the time on Clubhouse. I talk about it all the time on YouTube. I done had a number of counsels dealing with people's marriages, and I've realized this is probably one of the biggest issues in Israel. People not truly understanding marriage, the duties, and everything else in it. Make sure y'all sharing it. so we can get this word out. Lord willing, people will listen to it and take heed, check their spirits. And hopefully the better individuals they become, the better spouses and parents they become, the better families we have, the better communities we have, the better nation we become as a whole. If it be the Lord's will. Let's jump into it. You know what I want. Start off with what we start off with. Let's go to Proverbs.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4 and verse 2. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law.
The Most High said, I gave you good doctrine. I gave you righteous doctrine. I gave you that sufficient doctrine for your salvation that you need to be understanding. Don't forsake the laws. And a lot of people don't realize a lot of times, there's a lot of people in Israel that have forsook the law of marriage. There's so many marriages that are illegitimate, invalid, because that woman was put away by another man and it wasn't for a righteous cause. Or the man put away the woman and went and got another wife, and it wasn't righteously how he did it. And so now that marriage is not looked at as a righteous union in the eyes of God. There are laws. Or they take on another wife and they just stop dealing with their other wife altogether. Scriptures tell you don't do that either. You're supposed to be dealing righteously as a man. Your husband get another wife, you get mad and you want to leave. You ain't supposed to do that. If you're not ready to be a wife, you need to understand that you're not ready to be a wife, because part of being a wife is being a sister wife, potentially. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, though. That's a bad word. I might make a fifth segment to this. I didn't think about that. I didn't include that. I didn't. I think Kariah, we're gonna have to do something about that. My sister Kariah, we're gonna have to push and P part 2. That's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to hit that one again, because that's a part of marriage too. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have put that in there. I'm slipping. All right. Man. This gonna be a lot. I pray to the Most High that we get through it all, and I pray to the Most High y'all can stick with me, because it's a lot of stuff in here that you may have heard, you may not have heard. You may have thought you knew when you read the scripture, then you hear it today, you're like, oh shit, I did not know that. So I'm praying to the Most High, this registers. My other one, 2 Timothy 4.
This is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 4 and verse 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine.
The time is going to come, and again, we just talk about marriage tonight. The whole premise of this class, sound doctrine, is because a lot of people in Israel don't want to endure sound doctrine. If you really believe in the Most High God, and you really believe in His Bible, to hell with how you feel, to hell with what you think emotionally, you got to be willing and ready to endure sound doctrine, even if it goes against what you once thought was right. Because the thing is, it's not about who's right, it's about what's right. And a lot of times we get caught up wanting to be right. The problem is when I want to be right so bad that I'm willing to compromise what is actually right and fight against that so I can be right. That's when we have a problem. And a lot of people do that, right? So there's going to come a time where people will not endure sound doctrine. But what are they going to do?
But after their own lust.
But I got my own lust. She cuter. She look better. Oh, she pissing me off, so I desire to be single. I lust to be single again. My wife's slowing me down. I can't get nothing done when I'm dealing with her. You want to do your own thing as opposed to dealing righteously like God told you. Again, we just talk about marriage tonight. Come on.
But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers.
Come on.
Having itching ears.
Come on.
And they shall turn away their ears from the truth.
Come on, get that one over there. Either or.
Check.
That one might be muted. Grab that one next to it. Yeah, that one.
Check.
Yep.
All right, that's booming. Again, from the top. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears.
Come on.
And they shall turn away their ears from the truth.
Come on.
And shall be turned unto fables.
And shall be turned unto fables. You got teachers out here that's teaching y'all wickedness and teaching y'all wrong. A fable is a BS story, a fake story, a false narrative. They're teaching you falsehoods. And you rolling with that. You know why? Because it's what I want to do. That's what I feel is right. That's what I feel I want to do. A lot of times we get so caught up in what we want to do because our emotions and our feelings trump what is actually right. That's a problem. And I'm going to tell you why it's a problem. Because now you set yourself and your emotions over the Most High God and what is actually right. A lot of people don't realize that. Idolatry at one point, yes, it was literally when you would carve out an actual thing. People don't understand idolatry. In the simplest form, idolatry is when you place something else above the Most High God. You yourself can be an idol. You can worship yourself without having a statue of yourself. You can worship money without having a statue of money. Because people that sit there and argue, but first of all, do you know what idolatry actually is? Yes. They'll take it to Exodus 20, the literal definition, the graven images. Yeah, no one's arguing that. No one's arguing that. Thou shalt have no other God before me and no graven images. You can argue that they're both almost one and the same. Because even when you're worshiping those statues, when you're worshiping those things, it could be a physical object. It could be a non-physical. It could be what is it called? An imagination. But you're still worshiping it and placing it above God. You're putting it as a God above you. Or above the Most High. We can't do that. We can't turn to fables because we want to do something. Because here's the thing. Either you with God or you not. You either moving righteously or you're not. You got to pick a side. A lot of us don't want to do that. Let's jump into it. Am I marriage material? This is the question I want you to have sitting in your mind this whole conversation. This whole lesson, I want you to have it in your mind as you're listening to these things. Does that pertain to me? Does that not pertain to me? Am I struggling with that? Am I dealing with that? Are you marriage material? Let's find out. Let's open up with one of my favorites, Ecclesiasticus. Let's go to Sirach. This is one of my favorite ones because a lot of people don't do this. 37, the book of Sirach, chapter 37. Let's read verse 27.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 37 and verse 27. And it reads, "My son, prove thy soul in thy life."
It says, my son, prove your soul. Test your soul. What can I deal with? What can't I deal with? What is my vice? What is my struggle? What are the things that I have an issue with? What are the things that I'm okay with? Prove your soul. Know you. A lot of us don't know us as well as we think we do. My son, prove your soul. Come on.
And see what is evil for it.
And see what's evil for it. Come on.
And give not that unto it.
And give not that unto it. You see a pretty face with a smart mouth, and you know you don't like smart mouths. You know that's bad for you. But she pretty though. Give not that unto yourself. A lot of times we're not honest with ourselves. What do you struggle with? We talk about marriage right now. What can you and what can't you tolerate? Sis, if you sensitive and you like a man, but you see that he's cutthroat. I won't even call it cutthroat. He's direct. He's overt. He's not worried about coddling you or looking out for your emotions. He's going to give it to you straight. If you know that's the type of person that he is, you know you won't have a hard time in that marriage because you're overly sensitive. Brother, if you know the sister is overly sensitive and you know you don't know how to have certain conversations, you know y'all gonna have a communication barrier, and if you're not, you're setting yourself up for failure in that marriage. If you know that you like to over communicate and they don't like to communicate at all, you're going to have a horrible marriage. If you know that you're driven and she's lazy, or you're driven and he's lazy, you're going to have problems. Prove your soul. Know what it is you can and cannot deal with. And don't give that unto your soul. Don't give that unto yourself. That's what we open it up with. What can you tolerate? What can't you tolerate? Have that in your mind. Read that from the top.
My son, prove thy soul in thy life.
Come on.
And see what is evil for it.
Come on.
And give not that unto it.
And give not that unto it. Know what you can and can't deal with. Some people are more patient, more understanding, more long-suffering. Oh, I can deal with all of that. Now, here's another thing. Go to 2 Corinthians 13. 2 Corinthians chapter 13. We're going to read verse 5. Because while you're proving yourself, you're proving what you can and can't tolerate, but at the same time, you got to also remember you have to be doing this too.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 13 and verse 5.
Come on.
Examine yourselves.
Read.
Whether ye be in the faith.
Examine yourselves if you really in this walk. But I don't even want to deal with whether you be in the faith. In what's the word? I'm drawing a blank right now. That's crazy. But to further continue the understanding of Sirach 37, right here it says, examine yourselves. How many of us really sit there and examine ourselves? How many of us really sit there and meditate on the things we need to work on? Examine whether your marriage material. Do you have trauma? Do you come with baggage? See, I need a man that's going to be delicate with me because I got a lot of trauma and a lot of sweetheart. You don't need to be married. You don't need to worry about another man till you heal. You're not marriage material because you come with baggage. And I can guarantee you the flight won't last long with all that baggage. This trip gonna be a short one with all that baggage. If you coming with baggage, if you got trauma, if you got mental health issues that you haven't fixed, you got anxiety, you got depression, you got anger issues, you got daddy and mommy issues, you got attachment issues, you're not ready for marriage. You need to be healed. And then they always got these little memes when a man comes in and shows you, what it's really like to be loved and they help you heal your trauma. To hell with that. Heal your own damn trauma. Will you have people along the way that will give you some assistance? Yes. But what is the word? Counting on someone to do it? Looking for a relationship for a person to do that for? No. You need to heal before you get in these relationships. So you got to examine yourself, brothers and sisters. Are there things that you need to work on? Are there things that you need to fix? Brothers, examine yourselves. Am I actually ready to provide? Shoot, I'm frivolous with my money now. I just blow it. Ain't no way. I'm not financially responsible. I haven't figured that out. Now I got to take care of a woman? Like, damn, I don't know. What about understanding? A lot of men want to get married, and they learn about this P word. Why you worried about getting more than one wife, nigga? You don't even know the Bible yet. I know a man can have more than one wife. Show me in the Bible. You ain't even ready to provide spiritually. What you worried about getting married for, bro? You got to be brutally honest with yourself. Are you ready to provide? Sisters, are you ready to submit? That's a tough one. Are you ready to submit? Because here's the thing, right, about submitting. Women think, oh, well, I did it. Yeah, but you did it with attitude. You did it begrudgingly. You did it and was talking mess under your breath. Excuse me, Mama Mary. Talking mess under your breath. You did all of that. So did you really submit? Submitting to someone is willfully giving over power to an individual or authority to another individual. Transferring willfully your power or your authority to another person. If you're arguing and whining and doing things begrudgingly, did you really, truly, fully submit? And a lot of people don't understand that. So are you wife material? I do it when I get married. No. Hell no. I did this lesson a while ago. You need to be a wife before you become married. You need to become a husband before you become married. Them stupid statements about, I do it for my husband. Sweetheart, you don't have it in you now. I'll start waking up early when I get married because then I know I got to do stuff for my husband. No, you have to acquire those attributes now. I'll stop talking back when I get a husband and he tell me, no, you have to stop doing it now. If you can't respect men now, when you get upset, in my lesson on the last day of unleavened bread, when people get placed in an insurmountable amount of stress, they always revert back to what they're comfortable with. If you as a sister know that when you get overwhelmed and you get frustrated and you get angry, you fly off the handles, you're going to do the same thing with your husband. It's just a matter of time. You have to be a wife before you get married. You have to break these habits. Man, you know, I'm gonna tighten up. I'm gonna tighten up with my, my time management. I'm gonna tighten up with my finances. When I find me a wife. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're gonna stress her the hell out because you're financially irresponsible. You're gonna stress her out because the bills ain't getting paid because the money is going everywhere else. You're gonna stress her out because she's gonna be bugging you about getting things done. You're not gonna get it done. Your time management's gonna be off. Nothing's gonna be getting done like it's supposed to. Nothing's gonna be done on time like it's supposed to because it doesn't change once you get married. So examine yourself. Are you ready to be married? Are you marriage material? Proverbs 11. Think about these things. As a man, can you provide? Can you lead? Are you long-suffering? Because the scriptures talk about the woman being the weaker vessel. Science tells you that women are more emotionally driven. The scriptures show you that the women are more emotionally driven. Are you emotionally intelligent enough to deal with that? Emotionally mature enough to deal with that? If you're not, then you're not ready to be married. Well, the scripture says she's supposed to submit. Absolutely, and in a perfect world she would. But guess what, nigga? We in Babylon. So now you got to understand there's a way that you have to deal with her. Because she got all of these influences of outside influences that still influence her even though she may not even realize it. No matter how perfect she may be or you may think that she is, she will always be influenced because everything around her is wicked. You got to be able to deal with that in righteousness. Sisters, are you able to submit? Are you selfish? Are you lazy? If you are, you're not ready. Because that's going to create a whole problem in your marriage. And y'all going to resent each other. Proverbs 11 and 14.
This is the book of
I'm sorry. We'll double back to it. Don't worry about it. Go ahead, read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
And this, you know what I like about this one? I'm going to ask you, well, why do you think I went to this scripture?
Oh, man. Because I would think a lot of people, either they self-counsel, they'll counsel themselves, or they tend to go to the one person that they know that's going to validate them. So when you have a multitude of counselors, I mean, like it's less likely that you're gonna constantly get like the feedback that you're looking for already.
So in the context of this right here, what is it about counsel that we're talking about? Because clearly it's telling you to get counsel, but what?
Obviously righteous counsel
Yeah, but about what?
about your marriage,
What if you're not married yet?
about being a husband, husbandry, wifedom.
More than that, that's what people would think. More than that. This scripture is so big because a lot of people don't do this. I know this is my leader. I know these men watching over me. I know these men lead me, they guide me in this walk. Do you think I'm ready for marriage? Seek counsel, bishop, elder, apostle, whatever you call them. What do you see in me? Do you believe that I'm ready for marriage? Is it a law you have to do that? No. But is it smart? Absolutely. You know why? Because these men are watching you. These men have seen you grow. These men see things in you that you don't see in you because you're too blind. Or there are certain bad habits that you have that you're so used to, you don't realize they're bad habits, but other people see it and they're like, no, that's a problem. Seek counsel on yourself. Seek counsel on your own, on your status, on where you stand. Read that from the top.
Proverbs 11 and 14. Yes, Salakia. 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall.
When you ain't got no counsel and you just moving on your own accord, 9 times out of 10 it's gonna fall. Come on.
But in the multitude of counselors,
But when you got a bunch of counselors, righteous counselors to be specific,
there is safety.
there's safety because they're going to examine it fully. You got some people that's gonna tell you, man, it don't matter. So you go ahead and get married. She got to submit to you anyways. We just gonna brush over the fact that this man got lust demons. We gonna just brush over the fact that he has a drinking problem. We just gonna brush over the fact that when he gets drunk, he gets very irate. You don't think that's gonna cause a problem in the marriage, maybe? But it says when you got a multitude of righteous counselors, there will be safety. But you got to do this. Go to stay in Proverbs 19. Proverbs chapter 19. Salakia, Proverbs 19 and verse 20.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 19 and verse 20. Hear counsel and receive instruction.
Wait. It says what?
Hear counsel.
Hear the counsel. Listen to the counsel. So whatever counsel and understanding you got, hear it and do what?
And receive instruction.
And receive it. Niggas that hear counsel and now they're going to take to social media to ask the same stupid question they just asked counsel. They'll get counsel and get the understanding and get the wise counsel and say, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm trying to find somebody to validate me. That's what's really going on. The reason that you get counsel, I say this all the time. What is a counselor's job? A counselor's job is to set you on the path to success. School counselor, marriage counselor, life counselor, or life coach. Their job is to set you on the path, place you on the straightest path, and put you in the best position to be your best self. That's their job. You should be adhering to that. Now, if we're talking about this Bible, in this truth, that counselor is putting you on a path to gain success spiritually. Why would you not take heed to that? What do I need to work on? What do I need to get better in? And they tell you that and you don't take heed. What type of stupidity is that? Do you want your spirit to grow? Do you want to get better? Or do you want somebody that's just enabling you? Do you just want a yes man? Hear the counsel. Receive the instruction. This is for your soul, because a lot of people don't understand marriage is such a big deal that, yes, your salvation can hang on it. If you lead your wife the wrong way, your salvation is in danger. If you run your wife off, your salvation is in danger. If you run your husband off, your salvation is in danger. If you don't raise these kids up right, your salvation is in danger. So why would you not adhere to this wisdom and this counsel that's being brought out to you to better you? That is the counselor's job, to put you on the straightest path, the best path to becoming your best self. Hear instruction. Hear counsel. Receive the instruction. When you're trying to figure out whether or not you're ready, talk to righteous individuals. Talk to good counselors. And receive that instruction, because guess what? They're just trying to make you better. Now, you're very slothful. You have bad time management. You're not even financially in a position to take on a spouse. You're not even mature enough to take on a spouse. Don't take it to heart, meaning don't get in your feelings about it. But hear the instruction, hear the advice, hear the reproof, and do better. That's it. Do better. Do I want that? We don't need that. Sirach 37:10 goes into, you don't worry about it, go to Genesis. Sirach 37:10 talks about who you need to get counsel from. Don't get counsel from the wrong person. Don't go trying to find a counselor or find a counselor that's just going to enable your BS. Don't do that. Don't find somebody who is the exact same person as you, with the same tendencies as you in that situation, with the same struggles as you in that situation. Don't receive counsel from a person like that. That's foolish. Now, here's some things to consider when we're talking about whether or not we're ready for marriage, whether or not we're marriage material. Genesis 22 and 24.
This is the book of Genesis. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 22, and verse 24. And his concubine.
Genesis 2 and 24?
I thought I said 22, my bad.
Genesis 2.
This is the
24.
book. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 2, and verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife.
Come on.
And they shall be one flesh.
And they shall be what?
One flesh.
They shall be one flesh. Why would I go to this? Watch this. Are you selfish? Is it me, mine? Because here's the thing, a lot of people don't realize that till they get in situations, that's my kid, that's my money, that's my car, it's in my name, that's me, no. Read that again.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife.
Read.
And they shall be one flesh.
They shall what?
Be one flesh.
Ain't no separation. Ain't no me, mine. No. And I'm going to piss some of y'all off in a minute, but it's okay. For the sisters, y'all going to be upset at this, but hey, it is what it is. Ain't no me, mine. Them sisters that be getting mad talking about, I'm going to take my kid. No, the hell first of all, it's our kid. That's my money, no, it's our money, our account. We are one flesh. And this is the stuff they don't like. If you want to be technical, you, along with everything you own, everything that's in your name, is mine. We had a conversation with a sister. You was here when we was having that conversation. We was having a conversation with a sister about that. She was like, what? Fairly new to the walk, getting to learn. Getting to learn and getting to understand. And when we read it to her, she said, I'll accept it. But she goes, you show me in the Bible that da-da-da-da-da. I said, okay. I said, you sure? She said, yeah, I know it's not in there. I said, you want to bet? Confident, right? So then we went to it, and she said, I'll take that. Go to Ecclesiasticus. I was going to go to it later, but we're going to go to it right now. Go to Sirach 36 and verse 24. Everything that you, me, mine, if you selfish like that, you're not ready for marriage. You're too selfish to be anyone's wife. If you got that mindset, you're not ready. As a man, here's the crazy part too. As a man, if you are selfish, you are not ready to be anyone's husband, because you have to understand, as a husband, you have a far greater responsibility of selflessness. You got to put a lot of time into your family to build them up. It's also your wife's job. She handles the day-to-day and the what we would call, I guess, quote unquote, the secular, the wifely duties: cooking, cleaning, teaching the kids, getting them together, all of that stuff. But you have to be willing to sacrifice your time to build them all up spiritually. You got to be willing to sacrifice your time to make sure that you have the funds to provide. I'm tired today. I don't really feel like going to work. Nigga, you got bills. And you got kids. And you got a wife. And it's your job to provide. Get up and go provide. You don't get to be selfish. If you don't have a selfless mindset, you're not ready for marriage. If you are a selfish individual, you are not ready for marriage. There's no way that you can slice it. In no direction will it be okay for you to be selfish in your marriage. I need some me time. That wasn't a thing. It's bad for my mental health. That wasn't a thing. And a lot of times, here's the crazy part. A lot of people don't like this. The reason why it affects your mental health is because you've made it up in your mind that this is a burden. A lot of times, marriage, parenthood, the reason why it's so hard is because you've made it up in your mind that it is so hard. You don't embrace being a mother. You don't embrace being a wife. Oh man, I'm just so overwhelmed. You don't embrace being a husband. You don't embrace being a father. You don't embrace being a provider. It's kind of like, perfect example. You wake up, got your full 8 hours of sleep, 10 hours, some of y'all, for the lazy people, 10 plus, right? Fully energized. You get to work 30 minutes in, all of a sudden you're tired. I'm so tired. You was already spiritually or mentally drained because you were like, I don't feel like going to work. Oh, it's going to be so much. Oh. Now you get there and it hits you. You're not embracing it. So yeah, it's going to be a burden. Everything's going to irritate you about it because you didn't embrace it. Time goes by slower, all of that. You didn't embrace it. It's the same thing with marriage. And if you're too selfish to understand, you have to have a real selfless spirit in order to be a wife or a husband. And in order to do that, you have to embrace being a wife or a husband. Otherwise, I need the me time. Oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do that, because you've already told yourself you couldn't do it. You've already set yourself up to fail. Now, do you need a breather every now and then? I'm not going to act like you don't. For those that probably don't get a lot of sleep or whatever the case is, maybe. But let's be honest, a lot of y'all need this far too frequently. This is the age of mental health issues. I'm taking a mental health day from work. Niggas couldn't do that years ago, and they were perfectly fine. I'm feeling overstimulated. Women used to have 10, 12 kids. Never said that. The reason why a lot of times you guys are overstimulated is because y'all don't discipline y'all kids, so y'all got bad children. And because they don't do what they're supposed to do or do what you're asking them to do, now it's stressful dealing with them. We just got to be honest. A lot of times you don't need this time off. You don't need this me time, you don't need that. But I digress. If you're a selfish individual, you're not ready for marriage. Taking time away from the family, I just need, you're not ready. Taking funds away, putting yourself above the family, you're not ready. If you focused on you as opposed to us, you're not ready. Selfish individuals are not ready for marriage. Go to, we're going to get that in a minute. Hebrews 13 and verse 16. Hebrews 13 and verse 16.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13 and verse 16. But to do good and to communicate, forget not.
Come on.
For with such sacrifices, God is well pleased.
With such sacrifices, God is well pleased. To do good and to communicate. If you are a terrible communicator, you are not ready for marriage. One of the most foundational things in a marriage that will make a marriage go smoother, make sure you guys are able to get over these humps faster, make sure that you guys are having what's the word? A prosperous union. Communication. Oftentimes, some of the biggest issues we have comes from miscommunication. If you don't know how to communicate as a grown-up, you're not ready for marriage. If you don't know how to communicate effectively as a grown-up, you're not ready for marriage. You get mad and you lash out, start cussing people out. Somebody yells at you, you got to match that energy. You get mad and you decide to shut down instead of trying to talk about it. You're not ready for marriage. Those are all signs of emotional and mental immaturity. And you are going to have a miserable marriage if you do that. You're going to have a miserable marriage if you do that. Guaranteed. You guys are going to begin to resent each other because, see, this is why I can't talk to you. Every time we try to talk, this happens. So now you guys can't even communicate. So when you get frustrated, when you get irritated, you're just going to walk away. When you get frustrated, when you get irritated, you're just going to shut down. When you get irritated, when you get frustrated, you're going to lash out. That's all you're going to do. And you'll never be able to come to a resolution because you guys don't know how to talk and deal with each other. If you can't communicate, you're not ready to be married. If you can't sit down and have healthy grown-up conversations, you're not ready to get married. Proverbs 12. And we're going to read verse 18. Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 18.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 12 and verse 18. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health.
But the tongue of the what? Say it again.
But the tongue of the wise is health.
It says, there is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword. People can have them conversations and say them things that they know is going to hurt you. Words do hurt. Sticks and stones may break my bones, my butt. People get hurt off of words. It said there are words that will pierce you like a sword. But individuals who are wise, their words will be health. Even if we ain't getting along, there is a healthy way to communicate with you to express my dislike for something that you have done. And me, being considerate for my spouse, will take it into consideration. We can sit down and have a healthy conversation about it. And we can build and grow from there. It says, but the tongue of the wise is health. Seasoning words, walking in wisdom toward those that are without, being able to have healthy communication. If you cannot do this, if you don't care to do this, you are not marriage material. You are not ready to be a wife. You are not ready to be a husband. Period. At all. James. Chapter 1 and verse 19.
This is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear.
Be what?
Swift to hear.
Swift to speak.
Swift.
Slow to hear.
Swift to hear.
Be swift to hear. Come on.
Slow to speak.
Swift to speak.
Slow to speak.
That means listen to what's being said. Process what is actually said. Understand what the person is saying. Don't start answering or speaking to a point that the other person is not speaking to. Because that miscommunication creates frustration. Now we can't even have a conversation because I'm pissed off because clearly you're not even listening. Make the honest effort to comprehend what someone is saying. Make the honest effort to really listen in, understand, process it, meditate on it for a moment, and then come with a well thought out response. Be swift to hear, slow to speak. Come on.
Slow.
And slow to wrath. As a man, that is one thing we always tell brothers. As a grown man, if somebody can get under your skin and make you act out of character, you soft. You feminine. And I tell you to your face, you soft and you feminine. Them is feminine traits. That's called being overly emotional. As a man, he can't just disrespect me. As a man who is confident in themselves, or himself, there is no reason that I feel like I must retaliate in a situation that someone says something to me sideways. That nigga disrespected me. Did he put his hands on you? No. Did you feel threatened? No. Right. What are we? Elementary school kids? I look at Christ, all the things that they said about Christ. Christ had never put his hands on nobody until it got flagrantly disrespectful in the house of the Lord. If you're not threatened, there's no reason for you to fly off the handle. You're a grown man. One of the main traits of masculinity is self-control. I'll say it again. One of the most prominent traits of masculinity is self-control. Any individual that gets out of character when someone disrespects them because they feel like, as a man, I have to, you're not a man. Because as a man, you need to be able to have self-control. If he did not threaten your life physically, if you did not feel like you had to defend yourself, there is no reason that somebody's little words hurts you so bad that you gotta physically retaliate or that you gotta fly off of the handle to prove that you a man, because that's gay. If I'm gonna be honest, you just proved his point. He called you soft, he called you a punk, he called you feminine, you just proved his point. As a man, you cannot be that way. And if you can't do that, you're not ready to be a husband. You need to be able to be slow to speak, slow to speak, swift to hear, slow to wrath. Let's go to Ephesians. Now, are you marriage material? We went over some things to consider. Examine yourself, know your vices, know your struggles. Then examine yourself to see what are the things you know you need to work on. Where are you falling short in your character, in your spirit? Things that you need to fix before you can try to get married. Not just your vices, but things that you actually like. I'm angry all the time. Whatever the case is. Things that your spouse may not like. Then we spoke about making sure that you're seeking out counsel so they can be honest with you and tell you whether or not you're ready. Now we're into the things that we need to consider. Selfishness was the first one. If you're selfish, you're not ready to be married. Communication. If you cannot communicate, you're not ready to be married, right? Now, let's talk about the men and the women, right? Actually talking about, let's touch on if a woman is not this or not doing this, she's not ready. If a man is not doing this or doing these things, he's not ready. Let's talk about it. Let's start with Ephesians chapter 5. We kind of touched on it earlier. Ephesians 5 and 22.
This is the book of Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands as unto the Lord.
As unto who?
As unto the Lord.
As unto the Lord. I've heard this a number of different times. All I know is my husband ain't gonna tell me. My husband already know he better not. I wish my husband would. Sweetheart, shut the hell up. Scriptures say you submit to your husband as you would submit to the Lord. If you say your husband better not tell you, then stop reading the Bible, because God has been telling you better or you better not. If you're going to disrespect your husband like that, it's the same as if you're disrespecting God. If you're disrespecting God, stop reading the book, because this book is commanding you to do these things. Imagine how stupid you sound. God better not tell me. What? What? Submit yourselves to your husband as you would the Lord. Submit yourselves to your husband as you would the Lord. If you're not willing to submit, you are not ready to be a wife. Again, what is submitting? Willfully giving over your power or your authority to yourself to another individual. That means if he says, I need you to do this, you go do it. You're not fighting with him about it. You do it with a smile. You do it willingly. You have not fully submitted if you are not doing that. And if you're not doing that, you're not ready to be a wife. Because what a lot of us don't understand, matter of fact, we'll get to it in a second. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 36, 24.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 36, and verse 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession.
He that getteth a wife begins his possession. Why? Because from her, he'll get his other possessions, his children. He starts to acquire whatever other things that he needs to, his business, whatever it is. These are the things that he possesses. A lot of people are like, I'm not his possession. Yes, you are. That makes me sound like I'm a pet. No, it doesn't. Are your kids not your possession? Exactly. What is a possession? Something that belongs to me. That's it. And here's the crazy part. A lot of people don't understand a possession, right? Understand what it is to be a possession. And this is why, I'm going to touch on one side first. This is why it's important to understand, yes, you must submit to your husband. You are your husband's possession. He owns you. When you are married, you become his. He owns you. But what do you do with the possession? You take care of it. You upkeep it. You provide for it. You protect it because it's yours. You care for it or take care of it. You love it because it's your possession. And they forget about that. I look at it like this, and don't take it literally because some people won't get offended. Maybe the analogy is going to go over their head. Have you ever watched those men that have a thing for like antique cars? The ones that they like to fix up. The ones that they be going to the car club and showing off their cars and all of that stuff. How much do they care about them cars? That is their they prized possession. They keep it up under the car cover. They make sure they only pull it out on special occasions. They make sure it's waxed. There ain't no scratches, ain't no dents on it. Paint job is pristine. They talk to it. That's facts. So giving you some context. When a man when a man has a possession and his possession means something to him and he loves that possession, listen to me. He gonna take care of you. Don't be an unfruitful possession. Submit to him like you're supposed to. Understand that you are his possession and watch the lengths that he goes to for you. When he sees it, you have to understand that if you're not willing to submit, you're not not ready to be a wife. If you're not willing to accept the fact that this man owns you, you're not ready to be a wife. Genesis 3 and verse 16. Genesis 3 and 16. And with this scripture, we're going to kind of put it together just a little bit. We're going to piece it together a bit.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, and verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband.
And thy what?
And thy desire shall be to thy husband.
Thy desire shall be to thy husband, and what?
And he shall rule over thee.
And he shall do what?
And he shall rule over thee.
You shall be his possession. You shall submit to him wholeheartedly. Listen. And they don't like hearing this, right? If you're not willing to submit and put yourself second to your husband in that house, you are not ready to be a wife. I remember Bishop Tazaiwan said this. He said, if you're not willing, I forgot how it's not verbatim, but it's the concept is the exact same. If you're not willing to give up what it is that you wanted for your life, for your husband and the things that he wants for you and from you and expects from you, you're not ready to be a wife. When you're a wife, you put yourself second to your husband. Oh, they don't like that. When you're a wife, you put yourself second to your husband. Because the things that he's asking of you come first. Your leader, your protector, and your provider. If he asks you to do anything, despite what you wanted to do, it should not matter. You come second when it comes to your husband. Just like he'll put his life on the line to protect you, you need to remove what it is that you want to do and your desires and put your life second to your husband. But don't nobody want to talk about that. It's not, and here's the thing: any man that doesn't do that, he should be ashamed of himself, because here's the but we live in a really screwed up society today. If we still lived by the traditional values that we had back then, marriages would be a whole nother level, because everybody knows their role, everybody's playing their role, everybody's focused on their role. And you tell me one damn team in any sport across the globe where everybody didn't play their role perfectly and win the championship. You know, it's a perfect example of that. What year was it? Ooh, they played the Tim Duncan, Tony Parker era of the Spurs. All of them were good players, but the beautiful thing about those players, in their system, they played their role to perfection. You don't even really remember a lot of those players. You remember Manu Ginobili could toss us some threes. You remember that. But like, when you think in basketball, you ain't thinking, oh, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Like, you're not thinking that. Those were really good players, but they're not like the elite. But their team was amazing, because fundamentally, they were sound. Everybody played their role and embraced their role. What team do you know that will embrace their role to and embrace it so much that they want to perfect it and they perfect it and they don't win the championship? It's the same thing in your marriage. The issue is today, women want to be in the husband's role. Husbands want to be in the wife's role. It's crazy. You said what? I just heard about that like a week ago. This damn soft man era, soft guy era. The hell is that? As a man, the soft guy or the soft man era. That's a thing. And, basically, the man being in the woman's role. It's crazy. That's a part of it. Like I was watching. I forgot what I was watching. It was one of the videos, and it was kind of like they was joking. It was like the chick was hollering at the dude, but it was the way that the dude was being hollered at. It was like, yeah. So bro, play your role. And the problem with that is a lot of times, and people are not going to like this. A lot of times, what happens is women embrace this stupidity. And they teach their kids this stupidity. And then you got grown men that grow up to think that that's okay. But you got to respect women. It don't matter what they got on. No, they need to respect themselves. And who taught you that? Your mama did, huh? Because I guarantee you ain't no man going to say that. I'm not talking about a grown adult male boy. I'm talking about a man, somebody who was groomed up to be a man. They're not going to say that. Letting your little daughter wear Spankies or Spanx, wearing Spanx, tight leggings, cut off shirts, all of that. Only women do that. Men are not okay with that. Real men, and it's not an insecurity thing, it's a respect thing. Real men is not letting their wives come out the house with their boobs out. They camel toe showing. They print showing. Them wearing fishnets and they got stickers over their nipples. No man is allowing that. That's not masculine, bro. As a masculine man, you're not allowing that, bro. That's ridiculous. But before we get too detracted, before we get too sidetracked, we have to understand that whatever it is that your man is expressing that you need to do, you need to do that. If you're not willing to be selfless like that and put yourself second to your husband, you're not ready to be a wife. We're going to get to the men in a minute, though, because I know people in Israel swear up and down we don't get on the men. We'll get to them in a second. Proverbs 31. We're going to shoot through these. We're going to read verse 10, and we're going to drop down to verse 15. And I'm going to shoot through them. And I might just do Proverbs 31 because we'll touch on the rest next week when we actually get into marriage. We'll just do 31 right now. Proverbs 31.
Verse 10.
We'll read verse 10, and we're going to drop down to verse 15.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, and verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman?
Who can find a virtuous woman? In order to be wife material, you got to have virtue. You got to be virtuous. Come on.
For her price is far above rubies.
That's the value of a virtuous woman. Precious jewels. Drop down to verse 15.
She riseth also while it is yet night.
If you lazy and you ain't willing to get up when the sun is still, if you ain't willing to beat the sun up to get your productive day started, you probably ain't wife material. You're probably not wife material. Come on.
And giveth meat to her household.
And she's up before the house to get everything prepped for the house. If you're not ready to do that, you're not ready to be a wife. Again, we talk about biblical, righteous, traditional roles. We ain't talking about this stuff today. A lot of these women today be thinking, well, I could just, no, you can't. Because you want this man that's going to provide for you. We need traditional men. Sweetheart, you're not even a traditional woman. You asking for traditional men right now, but you was letting all of these raggedy niggas run through you. You got double digits on your under your belt, and you talking about traditional men. You want to settle down after you done got ran through. I was watching a clip from a podcast. They was talking about what's the and this. I'm like, these hoes be really just okay with it. Like it's normal. In one night, how many men have you been with? Oh man, I remember the most that I've been with one time, man. Remember that time, girl, when we was over there, such and such? Yeah, no, but that was a separate time. Yeah, no. I would say like 10 men. 10 things in you. And they all pay me. You're a hoe. Like, you're happy about that? Like, that's but then these are the women that when they turn 30 and 40 and they're ready to settle down and they're going to be talking about, you need to do this, you need to do that, traditional values. You're not a traditional woman. But we're talking about traditional valued individuals. A traditional woman used to get up early to make sure her house was good. Because if your husband good, that means he can go out and conquer the world and he'll at least start off at 100%. When he get beat up by the world as the day is going on, then he comes back, you're supposed to recharge him. You're supposed to recharge him and allow him to be able to go do it again. But you need to make sure you handling your business as his wife in that house so he can handle his business as a man. Just something to think about. It says she rise up while it's yet early and gets meat for her house. The house is fed. The house is ready. She done got everything together for them before they even got up. Read on. We're going to read down to 19.
Verse 16. She considereth a field and buyeth it.
She's business minded. She's financially responsible. Come on.
With the fruit she planteth a vineyard.
With the fruit of her hand she planteth a vineyard. She working. Don't nobody want to hear that though. She's physically working. Come on.
She girdeth her loins with strength.
She girds her loins with strength. Come on.
And strengtheneth her arms.
Come on.
She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth out, not by night.
Her merch, things that she's selling. She has a business mind to help develop and build up what it is that you're doing. We know you got to go work, but you know what? I got merch too. We gonna double up and make some money on this side too, sweetheart. That's people be forgetting about that. But the man is supposed to be the provider. You don't read a Proverbs 31 woman, do you? You talk about your Proverbs 31, sweetheart. You don't know what that is. These women used to work. Merchandise. She was making merch. She was selling merch. She was considering fields and purchasing fields. Uh, 19. Oh, that's one of my favorites. No. Oh, wait. It's a little further down. But go ahead.
Verse 19, she layeth her hands to the spindle,
She putting in work to make more merchandise. Come on.
and her hands hold the distaff.
Right? Verse 20.
She stretcheth out her hand to the poor.
She's charitable. Come on.
Yea, she reacheth forth her hand to the needy.
She's charitable. She's not selfish. It's not all about me, 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 me. Verse 25.
Verse 25, strength and honor are her clothing,
Come on.
and she shall rejoice in time to come.
She not soft-spirited. She not no overly sensitive individual. It says strength and honor. She ain't sitting there always being overly emotional, taking everything to heart. She is strong. She is strong emotionally. She wants to be honored. She wants to be honorable. Like you read about the Judiths and the Susannas, they was like, that's a wise woman. We'd have known you since your husband before he died, Judith. That's why anytime you come and say something to us, we listen. The elders used to listen to Judith. 26.
She openeth her mouth with wisdom.
I love this one. Read that again.
She openeth her mouth with wisdom,
Come on.
and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
Sidebar. I was watching this video that brother sent in the chat. The chick that sing that song, I cook, I clean, and I shut up. Israelites brought her to their Israelite affair for her to perform that song. Well, she told me what she said was, whether it was wrong. If we striving for virtue, all of these manly, masculine women in this walk is a problem. A lot of them forget about this verse right here. As an Israelite woman, read verse 26 again, please.
She openeth her mouth with wisdom.
When you open your mouth, you're going to speak in wisdom. You don't sound like no little nigga. You speak soft. You speak delicate. That was one of the curses, was that we wouldn't be delicate no more. We're going to have hatred toward our brothers, so on and so forth. And it said the woman that was once tender and delicate, she wouldn't even set her foot, the sole of her foot on the ground. Man, these women be walking down dirty Manchester with no shoes on. Man, feet rough as sandpaper. Nails all chipped, dirt under your nails. Like y'all thugging these days. That's a problem. It says the law, she opened her mouth in wisdom. What's the second part?
And in her tongue is the law of kindness.
And in her tongue is the law of kindness. Sisters, where is that law of kindness at? A lot of sisters don't have that spirit in that law of kindness in their heart no more. Women be so quick to talk down to each other, to talk down to their men, to talk down to other men, to gossip about other people. There is no more law of kindness amongst our sisters. Sweetheart, if you don't have that soft, patient spirit, if you don't have the law of kindness in your heart, if you talk like a little nigga, you're not marriage material. As a virtuous woman, this is how you're supposed to be moving. If you're not doing that, you're not ready. Verse, what was that, 26? Let's read 27.
Verse 27. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness.
That's one of my favorite ones. Sweetheart, if you are lazy, if you are idle, if all you want to do is scroll on social media, if all you want to do is watch TV, if all you want to do is play games, because women play games too. If all you want to do is sit up and watch Netflix, you're not ready. You're not ready to be a wife. Because as a wife, you have a lot of responsibilities. You got to take care of your husband as well as take care of your mind and yourself so you can take care of your husband. And of course, if you do what you're supposed to do as a wife, he's going to do what he's supposed to do as a husband, and y'all going to go ahead and continue to recharge one another. But guess what? If you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, the house going to fall apart. And a lot of y'all don't care about that. If some of the older sisters who grew up on those traditional values walked into y'all house tonight they might cuss you out. You can't be a wife if you always want to be idle, and you want to be busy but you want to be idle. What is that? That sounds contradictory. No, it's not. Because you're busy but you're not productive. So the things that you're doing, there's no productivity there. You're just doing stuff. But there's nothing coming out of it. There's nothing to build you up. You can't do that if you want to be a wife. You're not wife material if that's what you're doing. Now, we'll touch on the other stuff next week. Let's talk about the brothers. Ecclesiasticus. We're in Ecclesiasticus, right? 27. Let's read verse 3.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 27, and verse 3. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord.
Halfway.
Diligently.
Go ahead.
Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown.
You got to, first of all, as a man, your focus needs to be the Most High God. The laws of the Most High God. Trying your best to be as righteous as you can for the Most High God. Sisters, if the man that you trying to talk to or thinking about talking to or thinking about courting ain't focused, if he ain't focused on God and you don't hear God in his conversations, he is not marriage material. Brothers, if your focus is not that first, you are not marriage material. If you ain't able to lead this woman and give her wisdom and understanding and whatever it is, if everything that y'all talk about is surface level and there's no depth to it and you're not building her up, you're probably not marriage material. If the conversations is nothingness all the time. Go to Tobit. Actually, nope, we're going to hit that next week too. Go to Sirach chapter, stay in Sirach, go to chapter 10. Chapter 10, we're going to read 1 and 2.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10.
Get that one. I don't know what the signal is. Just keep that one.
Salak. God. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, and verse 1.
Come on.
A wise judge will instruct his people.
Read.
And the government of a prudent man is well ordered.
Right. Come on.
As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers.
This is the important part. Read on.
And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein.
As a man, you got to remember that you are the leader. The people that are under you, your wife, your kids, your potential wife, your potential kids, you got to check your spirit. How locked in are you with the Most High God? Because what you do, they will follow. If you are off, your family going to be off. If you know that you got some things to work on and you ain't doing that yet, you're not ready to be a husband. You are not marriage material. Go to 1 Timothy chapter 5. Here's the crazy part, right? Because a lot of times we underestimate this actual thing. And I've heard it before. Well, I understand that a man is, supposed to provide, but, is that all that he does? Like, is that it? First of all, let's understand what that even looks like. A lot of people don't even understand the magnitude of what being a provider is, right? Go to 1 Timothy 5 and 8. Let's read that. Chapter 5 and verse 8.
This is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 8. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house,
come on,
he hath denied the faith,
come on,
and is worse than an infidel.
If you are a man that is not ready to be a provider, if you cannot provide for your family, if you cannot provide for your house, bro, you are not ready. If you can barely provide for yourself, you are not ready to be a husband. You are not marriage material. Because here's the thing. To provide for your house, a lot of people don't understand this. To provide for your house, you're providing spiritual guidance, spiritual security. You're providing financially. You're providing protection. You have to provide a level of patience and understanding to deal with your wife and to deal with your children. That's why when people say, well, is all they're doing providing? That's all they need to do. I'm here to provide protection. Anything happens in my house, I'm here. I'm here to provide guidance and understanding. If ever we get knocked off track, I'm here. Or if you get confused or conflicted or convicted, I'm here. It's my job to make sure that I'm studied and I understand enough so I can be here. If you feel like you get knocked off your square or your spirit is vexed or you starting to feel insecure, whatever the case is, guess who has to be the counselor and the advisor? Me. I have to be willing and able to do that as the provider. That is a part of my providing. As a man, if you ain't ready to do all of that, if you're not wise or capable enough to do all of that, you're not ready to be a husband. You're not marriage material. Honestly, I only needed that scripture. If I'm being honest, all I needed was that scripture. Go to I want that one next week. Let me think. Go to Sirach chapter 4 and verse 30. We'll talk about this one real quick too. And I'm debating on this last one.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 4 and verse 30. Be not as a lion in thy house,
Good boy.
nor frantic among thy servants.
So, here's the thing. As a man, there's a level of you have to keep calm, cool, collected, and hold your composure. A lot of people think just because you rah-rah and you yelling, niggas is going to listen. It's not true. You have to understand that as a man, you can't always be a lion. Your wife don't always respond to that. There's a level of patience and understanding that you have to deal with them in. And at times you have to be able to finesse the situation. We gotta keep it real right now. As a man, you gotta be smooth enough and wise enough to finesse your situations. If you don't possess that skill yet, you're not ready to be married. You gotta know how to have them conversations with your wife. You gotta know how to push those buttons to make her move the way that you need her to move in righteousness. If you're not ready to do that, and if your response to the square not going through the circle hole is trying to punch it in harder, to try to knock it in, instead of pulling that square up, examining the entire board, and seeing how can I get it to fit, or is it supposed to even go here? Am I supposed to maybe place it somewhere else where I can make it fit smoothly? If you don't possess the metaphoric, the common sense to make that metaphorical square, find that square hole, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. You're not ready to be married. Because as a man, brute force, raising your voice, yelling, being aggressive is not going to win you. It's not going to win you an argument. It is not, and it may get them to be compliant for a moment, but it ain't going to be long. And they're going to do things begrudgingly. So if you don't have the patience and the wisdom to deal like that, you're not marriage material. You're not ready. And there's nothing wrong with that. Build your spirit up. Get better. Get stronger in the spirit so you can be ready. Last one, Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians 5 and 28 through 30.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, and verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies.
Love their wives as their own bodies. Come on.
He that loveth his wife loveth himself.
Come on.
For no man ever yet hated his own flesh.
Come on.
But nourisheth it.
But
and
does what?
But nourish and cherisheth it.
You need to nourish and cherish your wife like you nourish and cherish yourself, because she is you. She's a reflection of you. You guys are one flesh. Come on.
Even as the Lord, the church.
Come on.
For we are members of his body.
Come on.
Of his flesh.
Come on.
And of his bones.
What verse is that? Read verse 30.
That was 31. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother.
Go on.
And shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh.
They two shall be one flesh. You are supposed to be that reflection. You are that. She is the extension of you. So as a man, if you don't understand that, because people forget, and we had I've had these conversations with many people. If you don't want your wife doing certain things, then you don't do those certain things, or your spouse, period. Or anyone around you, for that matter. That's a cardinal rule in the scriptures too. Treat others how you want to be treated, but more so even your spouse. It said she's supposed to be you. She is a part of you. Love her as you love yourself. If you love yourself, you're going to do what? Nourish yourself. Cherish yourself. Why wouldn't you do that with your wife? If you are not selfless enough to understand that concept, guess what? You are not ready for marriage. You are not marriage material. I hope people did some examination. I hope people were looking within to see if they were prepped to be a husband, to be a wife, ready to be a husband or be a wife. And if you're not marriage material yet, I pray to the Most High that you start checking your spirit, seeking out counsel, gaining understanding, so you can be marriage material, if it's your desire to be married. Because, if you choose not to get married, I'm not going to sit here and say that, you're wrong for it. But, and we'll pull them out next week, but I'll reference them really quick. Hebrews 13, Sirach 25, Sirach 40 tells you what God thinks about marriage. He looks very highly on it, which is why it's such a problem that all of these divorces in Israel keep happening. Scriptures say the Most High hateth putting away. We should hate it too. We should be going out of our way to be doing our very best to make sure that we don't end up in a situation where we have to put away or divorce our spouse. We should. I pray to the Most High that we get to a space where we're selfless enough to obey the Bible when it comes to what marriage is supposed to be. Check ourselves to be everything that God told us we needed to be for our spouse. Y'all be sure to tune in tomorrow. Bishop Tazayuan, Feed the Sheep. You already know Bishop always come with a fire lesson. Run it real quick. Every Monday now is Los Discípulos de las Palabras. So all of our Spanish classes every Monday with the exception of the first Monday, which is Bible Q&A. Tuesday, Bible Basics. Wednesday, World History. Second and fourth Thursday, Stick to the Script. Friday, Yashimai's The Blue Strip. Yashimai Kabash. Room 144. Then my segment, Sound Doctrine. And then Bishop Tazayawan on Saturdays. Y'all be sure to get this daily bread. Y'all be sure to pass out this daily bread. Be charitable in giving out this information, because we out to save souls and help build the nation. And a lot of us don't understand the severity of a lot of these things so that we can build the nation. Better individuals equals better marriages, equals better families, equals better communities, equals better nation. A lot of times we don't think about that. So I pray to the Most High that this was edifying. And I pray to the Most High that you can pass on this message and this understanding to other brothers and sisters, so that just as individuals they can work on themselves. If not for a spouse, if not for, them wanting to get married, just for themselves. So with that, Another segment of I was gonna say stick to the script. Another segment of Sound Doctrine with my brother Yahweh and myself. Most High willing, we catch y'all tomorrow with Feed the Sheep. We love y'all, Israel. Shalom.